So what happened? And it just can't be called an accident. There are too many things that didn't happen for this to be just considered an accident. And I'm not saying I don't buy into the conspiracy thing. I've been hearing all sorts of conspiracy things. If there's any truth to any of that, it will come out in a court of law. Absolutely it will. But this should be, what I'm smelling, well, we have to have more strict and stringent rules and regulations regarding firearms, or we just need no firearms whatsoever on sets ever again. Because it's the gun's fault, damn it. It's the gun's fault. It's not anybody's fault but the gun. That's where I think this is going. And that's not right.
Yeah, that was another arrogant statement that Baldwin said, is that, well, if there's anything that comes out of this that can help make sets more safe, I'm all for that. And I'm thinking,
yeah, your career is over. That's one thing that's going to help make sets more safe, because you won't be on another one. That's me being angry. And I'm so angry at this. There are so many things that this man should have said to this family. There are so many things this man should have said to everybody who's ever loved a Western. My God. And now the Western is the bad guy and the gun is the bad guy, because this man, for whatever reason, supposedly did not check his firearm. And he knows better. There's no possible way, unless somebody knocked Alec Baldwin out and replaced him with, like the movie Dave, with somebody that looked just like Alec Baldwin, and this guy didn't know any better. There is no excuse, absolutely no excuse, why that man did not check that firearm.
Should he
unless he checked it to make sure it was loaded.
Should he spend time in jail? Based on what you know.
Based on what I suspect. Remember, I don't know anything.
Based on what you suspect.
Yes. Yes, he should. I don't know where. I don't know for how long. I don't know what criminal negligence. There are rules and regulations about that. What do you get for criminal negligence?
Yeah, it's involuntary manslaughter.
If someone finds out that it's one thing that if nobody checked the gun and they told him it was empty, and I don't know why he said he didn't pull the trigger. I don't get that. Now, could be, let me check this again. This is pulling the trigger, right? I'm not going to do it again. That's pulling the trigger, okay? However, if I have the trigger, let's get into semantics here, and lawyers are very good at semantics. If I have my finger on the trigger, I haven't pulled the trigger, I just have my finger on the trigger. Now, if I pull this back, there's nothing to stop it, okay? That will not get stopped. So if I already have my finger on the trigger, and I pull this back, and according, she said, okay, there, all right there. Now, if I'm here, it's not going to go off. If I get back here, it's going to go off. If I let go of this trigger, there's nothing to stop it. It's going to go off. So that could be, but I tell you, if we're in a court of law and a lawyer says, you didn't pull the trigger? And he says, no, I didn't pull the trigger. And he says, before you cocked the hammer, did you already have the trigger depressed? And he says, yes. That's going to anger even the most staunch left-wing haters of the Second Amendment.
Well, I think there's a good chance that's exactly what happened. But again, it may have been inadvertent. I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that, yes, he's handled guns on movie sets before, but yeah, once every 5 or 10 years. He's not a gun person. And I think that he either accidentally pulled that trigger, or what you just demonstrated, that he had already had the trigger.
He already did.
Right. And that would just be a total amateur move.
It'd be a very amateur move. That's hard to believe. Now, let's give him another. I'm helping you, Alec. I'm helping you. I don't have fat fingers. Okay, and we're getting into the O.J. Simpson thing. Alec, to me, looks like a bloated person. Okay, and I'm not nothing against bloated people, but Alec looks to me like he might have big fingers. So he might have fingers. I race dirt track. I shake hands with people all the time whose fingers would barely fit in there. They wouldn't be able to put their finger in there without having it depress the trigger. Maybe that's it. It's still one step back, in my opinion, and it would have to be in the opinion of a jury of his peers. It's still criminal negligence not to check a weapon, or I don't know. I don't know what other phrase there is, but then it becomes. But then still, why was the gun loaded? Who loaded the gun?
Yeah, we still don't know how a live round got in there.
And if I have this gun loaded with blanks or with empty shells, if I just fired 6 real bullets out of this gun and didn't clear the brass, you'd be able to see the brass right there. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons why, if somebody handed you a gun, it's very difficult to believe that you had no idea there was a bullet or 2 or 3 or 4. I would love to know, because one of the rumors is that somebody was out shooting during lunch, brought the gun back, and then it was handed from the armor to the first AD to Alec, and they had left a bullet in there. So they shot 5 times, there was 1 bullet left. That means that there would be 6 spent cartridges in the gun after. You know, you'd be able to click through here and you would see 6 spent cartridges. That speaks truth into the theory that somebody was shooting it and left, and they didn't leave 1 in there. You don't leave, nobody goes out and puts 1 bullet in a gun, unless it was me yesterday doing my YouTube thing just to show people what the kick was. Nobody puts 1 bullet in a gun unless they intend to use it. So now we have to look and say, okay, well, if there were 6 spent cartridges in there, that gives me reason to believe, or at least gives me reasonable doubt as to someone knowing, because maybe Alec looked and said, are those dummies? And the first AD said, yeah, those are dummies. Okay, maybe that's true. You'd have to prove that somehow, or I'd have to disprove it, I guess. But if there's 1 in there, then there's only one place 1 shell can be. And again, you don't know about guns, but that 1 bullet would have to be here. And it's like Russian roulette. There are then 5 other places it could be. But if it's there, when I cock this weapon, now it's in the chamber. It's hot. This gun is now hot. Live rounds on set, right? Which you should never yell. You should yell blanks. So then that becomes even less likely that it was an accident. If there's 1 spent brass in that gun, and I've heard that immediately after this, people tampered with the gun. Well, the only person, after I fire this gun and I'm going like this and somebody rushes me out, the only person that's going to have that gun is me. I hate to say it, but I would love to see photographs after the incident, before Helena passed, to see where that weapon is. And it blows my mind that when they've got pictures of Alec after the call or when he's on the phone, but there's always a set photographer. Why were there no pictures inside the church? There are no pictures of anything except stuff that shows Alec to be bereaved. I find that hard to believe. I mean, again, it's like, I find that hard to believe. So the only picture that leaks out is a picture of him looking bereaved, and apparently that picture was taken about 45 minutes after the incident. Right, which is when he claims he was first aware that anything had happened.
Yeah.
So then that begs this question. Alec is a famous man. When I'm on a set, I'm not nearly as famous as Alec. When I'm on a set, people are taking, I'd be careful. I'm not scratching my ass or picking my nose because people are always taking my picture. So is there a picture? I'm going to stand up to do this. This would be very damning. Is there a picture during any of the filming of this movie prior to that where Alec is checking a weapon? This is what it looks like, right? Is there a picture of that anywhere? Did anyone in the, what are they filming for 2 weeks, I think? I'm not sure.
21 days, I think.
However long they were filming, did anyone ever witness Alec Baldwin checking the firearm? Because then that begs the question, if they did, then why didn't he this time?